My name is Philip Godfrey. I work for North Power. I'm actually the local manager here, covering Paulding County. But I'm also the chairman for the Paulding Chamber of Commerce Governmental Affairs Committee. First off, I'd like to thank Chattahoochee Tech for allowing us to use this auditorium, and we're truly appreciative of that. And I'd like to thank each of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come up here, because the issues we're going to be talking about, the candidates that we're going to be entertaining tonight, is very important to your community. And so your support and your questions are definitely important to this community as well. And with that, I will not be moderating tonight. Y'all are lucky for that. But Terry Lawler will be. And I'm going to give you a little bit of information about Terry and who he represents. And Terry is the Executive Director for the Regional Business Coalition of Metro Atlanta. And if you're like me, what does that mean? What is the RBC? You hear the term. So I tell you, I typically don't like to read notes, but I'm going to read a little bit so that you get an in-depth understanding of what Terry represents. The Regional Business Coalition of Metro Atlanta is an organization of over a dozen of the largest and most active chambers of commerce throughout the Metro Atlanta region. An RBC member chambers represents over 15,000 member companies who employ millions of Metro Atlanta residents. The RBC's primary goal is to represent the interest of the RBC Chamber members on regional public policy issues that impact our transportation, water, and air quality, and to advocate for solutions to improve the Metro Atlanta's quality of life and economic vitality. And with that, I will turn this over to Terry Lawler, who will be our moderator for today. Thank you.
Thank you again, and welcome tonight for those of y'all who did come out. Hopefully you're going to hear some things and help some of y'all make some decisions on how we're going to be voting the upcoming primary elections. Before I get started though, I think it's really important that we need to thank our candidates. It takes a lot of time and effort for any of these folks to run for elected office. Those of you who have served before know that. But to come out to meetings like this, the teas in the communities, standing out along the roadside, waving signs, doing all the things that candidates have to do to hold themselves out for public office, and then sometimes subject themselves to some strong disagreements from some of their constituents or potential constituents. It takes a lot, and I really think we should all thank the candidates, whether you're for or against them, but thank them for at least offering themselves for public service. We have to be very thankful for that. Some rules of engagement, as I mentioned to Senator Dugan. Questions will be put forward tonight and have been carefully compiled to address the most important issues of the business community relating to the overall well-being and future of Paulding County. As we do those tonight, these questions have all been set right here, and the candidates will actually pick out those questions. There will not be any questions from the floor tonight. There will only be the predetermined ones here. The questions will be randomly selected and will be asked of the candidate at bat without deference, bias, or foreknowledge. Timekeepers are in the front row, and they will signal the amount of time that will be left. There will be no interruptions from the audience. If you interrupt somebody and you're in support of them, you'll be taking away their time. If you interrupt somebody that you're opposed to by making other comments, you'll be not taking up their time. They'll be given additional time to make their point. Again, at the end of the day, we are asking you, please, no interruptions from the audience. Let the candidates answer the questions uninterrupted. The Paulding Chamber of Commerce does not in any way endorse or support any candidates over any others. However, the Chamber does and will take a position on any issue that affects the common good of its members, the community that it serves, and or the overall mission of the Chamber. This is the order that will be going tonight for the questions. The first group that will be up will be the candidates for state senator, followed by the candidates for the House District 17, followed by the candidates for county commission. And I'll ask them up shortly. But when they come up, they will be each asked to give a 2-minute opening statement. Then there will be a 2-minute question that will be proposed. Opponents will get 1 minute to respond, and then there will be 1 minute for the candidate to rebut that response, and then each candidate will be given 1 minute as a closing statement. And again, there will be, if I remember correctly, I think there are 2 questions for the House and 2 questions for the Senate, but we'll get to those when we get there. First of all, I would like to invite the candidates for State Senate to come to the podium. And this is for Senate District 30. And the candidates are Senator Mike Dugan and Mr. Bill Hembry. And I'll ask each of you, and we'll start with Senator Dugan, to make a 2-minute self-introduction. Let me point out, these 2 young ladies right down here are the timekeepers, and they will show the card of how much time you have. And when you get to stop, show them the stop sign, the red one. I will stop you. You both have done this before. This is nothing new to both of you, so you're very relevant. But these young ladies will help out there. With that, Senator, would you like to go first, please?
Sure. I'm Mike Dugan. Yeah, you gave all the rules except for that part right there.
I didn't know that.
Okay, I'm Mike Dugan. I'm the senator for the 30th district. I'm proud to be able to serve y'all, the southern part of Paulding, the western part of Douglas, and almost all of Carroll. I want to start off, even though I just got dinged from the get-go, thank the chamber for putting this together tonight. And you know, it's important that we hold events like this and you get a chance to see all of this and listen to what we're standing for here. Now, most of y'all know I'm the guy from Bowden. Graduated from Bowden High School, graduated from West Georgia, and then went into the Army. My wife and I raised 2 great kids, retired from the Army, and moved back home. And we moved back home because this is the best part of the world that we've ever been to. We said, and we've seen a lot of it. And we said we want to raise our kids there. Since I've been elected to the state senate, the committees I'm on, I'm the vice chairman of government oversight. I'm the secretary of Veterans and Military Affairs and Homeland Security. I'm on economic development and transportation. I'm also ex officio on agriculture, education and youth, judiciary, and judiciary non-civil. So a lot of responsibility that has been provided me in the Senate, and I'm proud that the leadership in the Senate has looked at me and said, you can have the responsibility. So I look forward to spending time with y'all tonight. I look forward to answering the questions that we get up here. I'm kind of curious as to what they're going to be. I know that we know as little about them as y'all do with the audience. Y'all may know more about what the questions are going to be. But thank y'all for letting us join y'all here tonight.
Mr. Hembry, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. That's okay now, I can begin. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. My name is Bill Hembry. I would like to be your state senator. A little bit about myself. I was born in Villarica. I currently live in Winston and have a beautiful family. I have 2 of my sons here tonight, big supporters, and I'm married to my high school sweetheart. But I started with very humble beginnings. My dad died when I was 3 years old. My mom worked 2 jobs for 18 years to raise 5 kids. And I was one of the 5, the only member of my family to graduate from college with scholarships. So it was very tough, and I understand the importance of hard work. My mother instilled that in me and said, hey, look, if you get a good education, and you work hard, and you give back to your community, things will be good for you in life. And so that's what I've tried to do. And I've tried to raise my sons and in that way. But I'm glad that the chamber has hosted this tonight because I'm a small business owner, and I have been for over 14 years. And I understand the difficulties of being a small business owner. I employ 5 people, and so that's so important in this day and time to make sure we have jobs. And that's what this election is all about. It's about the future, it's about jobs, and making a difference in our communities. I mean, we live in a great state, but we can do better, and I want to be there for you. As a small business owner, as a person who's from this area, who believes in West Georgia, and most of all, believe in you. Because this election is about the people, and putting the people back in control of their government. And so that's why I want to be your senator, because I'll be a voice for all of the people, so that we can make the changes and bring the people back in control of the government. Thank you.
Thank you. Before the meeting, each of the candidates drew their name out of a hat to decide who would go first and who would go second. So in the order, that's where we started off with Senator Dugan being first and Mr. Hembry was second. So we'll do the same thing here for drawing the questions. So there we go. Senator, you would draw a question. The first question I'm going to ask is not actually on here, but are you a member of the Paulding Chamber of Commerce?
Yes.
Thank you. Here's the question. Again, you have 1 minute to answer the question. Mr. Henry has 1 minute to respond to that, and then you'll have 1 minute if you choose to rebut Mr. Henry's comment. Okay, I'm sorry, 2 minutes. I'm sorry. 2 minutes to answer the question.
See if I listen to you.
That's right. Here's the question. There has been considerable debate about the Common Core education policy adopted by the state of Georgia. Do you support Common Core, something similar to Common Core, or do you believe that Georgia should focus on adopting our own standards and not try to adopt education standards consistent with other states? Please explain your position.
That's easy enough for me. I don't support Common Core. And I feel sorry for the teachers out there that feel like they got to go through a change in the curriculum and style every 3 years. I feel for that. It's not the federal government's responsibility to educate our youth. It's the state's responsibility to educate our youth. And, anytime that you get a federal government agency involved in any aspect of our life, then it starts encroaching. It gets a little worse, a little worse, a little worse. That's not their job. They don't know our kids as well as we know our kids. There's no need for a program that has, and I understand that they're decided this to say, well, Georgia had a governor that sat on the process to develop Common Core. It's not the same thing now. Now, am I for a standard? We know that a kid at the end of the 3rd grade ought to have this level of knowledge. A kid at the end of 5th grade ought to have this level of knowledge. If you're talking about standards, that's different. If you're talking about establishing a curriculum, that's our job. That's why we hire a superintendent. That's why we hire superintendents across the state. That's why we have a state superintendent of schools. It's each of our own community's responsibilities to train, educate our youth. Now, there's going to be some things that come up on this a little bit, that there's more than one way to educate our youth. You got the traditional schools, you got homeschool, you got private schools. A little bit more emphasis in the career academies would not be a bad thing either. We got a workforce requirements that are coming up for the next 2 generations that we need skilled labor, skilled trained workforce to meet those needs. Most kids do well in a traditional environment, but there are kids that learn better. They're not any less intelligent. They just learn better with working with their hands. They learn better with a hands-on approach. And we ought to develop those skill sets in them. I'm getting the 15 seconds here, so that we are building them a better future and building our state a better future. So the short answer is no, I don't support Common Core.
Mr. Henry, you have 1 minute to respond.
Thank you. I do not support Common Core either. Education is about the future. My sons are in 7th grade, and I talk with them and work with them every day, and we talk about the classroom. And that is the foundation of where we should focus our education, is in the classroom with the teachers. I have family members and friends who are teachers, and they struggle every day with the level of paperwork and bureaucracy. And they're taking away the time that they could be spending with the students in the classrooms. That is the focus that we must work with every day. And so as a senator, I will do everything I can to put the efforts and focus on the classroom, the teacher and the students, away from the bureaucracy. Washington doesn't understand what goes on in the state of Georgia, and they are not the ones who should be setting the standards. And even the governors who are proposing the changes for Common Core, they too are missing what's happening in the classrooms. We should focus on the students. This is the future of this great state. This is the future of this county. And until we can give them the proper education by engaging with the teachers, then we're missing out. So I say to you, I will always, as your senator, fight to make sure that education stays in the right place. And that's with the family. That's with the family, and that's with the teachers. And that's where we're going to focus our future. Because that's the future of the state of Georgia.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. You have 1 minute if you wish to rebut, sir.
I'm thankful my opponent agrees with my position. I think you're going to find that pretty common across the state of Georgia, that we don't, as a conservative state, we don't support Common Core. Now, there was a lot of discussion about the 167 when it came through, and it came through the Senate without a problem. It hit the House, and based off an editorial, and I'm sorry, I noticed that we got a good friend from the AJC here in the audience. Based off an editorial from the AJC, it reopened a can of worms, and there were some inaccuracies in the editorial that, prevented us from taking the proper steps this session to letting us stand on our own 2 feet, be responsible for our children the way we ought to be responsible for our children. So, I don't know what else you could say about the Common Core other than I think it's a really bad move.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Henry, you get to draw the next question, the last question.
There's only one left, so I guess.
Hard job, very difficult jobs. Okay, Mr. Henry, you will answer this question first. You'll get 2 minutes, and the Senator will get 1 minute to respond to rebuttal, and you have another minute to rebut that if you so choose. This legislative year, there were a number of social issues that received considerable attention from the legislature. One was the freedom of religion legislation that did not pass, but is expected to be reintroduced next year. There seems to be differing viewpoints on what the freedom of religion legislation was attempting to accomplish. If you believe there needs to be similar legislation adopted, what do you believe it should look like? If you do not believe similar legislation is necessary, why not? And you have 2 minutes.
Well, I believe the foundation of this country is based on our religious beliefs, our Judeo-Christian beliefs, and that's the foundation of who we are. Freed men, women, and children with faith in God and the self-determination to achieve a happy, healthy, and prosperous life. That's the foundation of who we are, and we cannot turn our backs on that. And our culture and our society has often done that, and we must stand up for the principles. I was the one who carried was the House author of the marriage amendment in 2004, which defined marriage in Georgia as a constitutional amendment between a man and a woman, because that is a foundation and a principle that we should all stand for and fight for. So I have a history serving as 18 years in the General Assembly, fighting for these issues, fighting for the family, fighting for our religious freedoms, fighting for the foundation of who we are. I've been there. I fought those fights. Even as a minority, I'm a Republican. I'm a proud Republican. For 10 years, I was in the minority, and I was hit every day by the Democrats wanting to push us this way, push us that way. We stood up. I stood up and fought for the principles that we stand by, for the family, for the individuals, and for the rights of the people. And that's what I'll do as your state senator. I'll fight for you every day on the foundation and the principles that we were created by, and that's the Constitution. We can never forget what our Constitution says, and we cannot change it, because the Founding Fathers believed that this document was the greatest document, and it has been in the history of mankind. And we, as a General Assembly or as any government official, should not try to change that. Stand by the Constitution, stand by the principles that it holds to, and we will always prosper. And as your state senator, I can tell you that I will fight for you every day on those religious issues and those issues that face the family, and I will be there for you.
Thank you. 1 minute.
Thank you. As you know, most of y'all heard the Merry Christmas bill that came into, we tried to go through the legislation this time, maybe the last day, and then something got tagged to it within about the 30th hour. So unfortunately, that didn't make it out this time. But the whole premise behind that was to bring back the concept that it's okay to acknowledge that we are a faith-based society. Now, we may not all believe exactly the same thing, but we shouldn't pretend that it doesn't exist. We shouldn't pretend that holidays like Christmas are not there. They're there. We know it since before Thanksgiving that Christmas is gone. So it's out there. It's silly that we got to pretend that we're not a faith-based society. Embrace it. Acknowledge it. And even learn a little bit from others. Now, the question specifically is, should your rights outweigh mine? And I think the answer is no. I think that if I'm a private owner of a shop.
Time, I'm sorry.
Got it. Thank you.
Mr. Henry, you will make a response to that.
Well, and again, we just have to stand up for the principles that the country was founded on. That's religious principles. The foundation of our country is based on that. So we have to stand up and fight, folks. The culture that we live in today is trying to turn us in different directions that we don't need to go. We do not need to go in those directions. So we need to stand up and fight. And if you're willing to stand up and fight with me, then I would love to have you as part of my team. Because I will fight for you every day as your senator. Because we cannot lose this country. This country is greater than anything we know. And as we, as citizens, as private citizens, we will stand up and fight. We can't give in, folks. We cannot lose this battle. We're at a turning point, and I just ask for your support so we can do this together.
Okay, each candidate will now have 1 minute to make a closing statement, and we've reversed the order. But I do have one question that I asked the senator, I didn't ask you, Mr. Chairman. Are you a member of the Paulding Chamber of Commerce?
I have not. I've been a member of the Chamber of Commerce for a long time, but I'm not a member of the Paulding Chamber.
Thank you.
But it is a good program, and if you'd like to sign up after the program's over, as a membership, is it $50 or $100?
That will be yelling for the audience. I told them not to say anything.
We got it knocked out back there, so I think I'll be able to write a check.
So what we'll be asking each of you to do is to make a 1 minute closing comment, and Mr. Henry, we'll start with you. You have 1 minute, and the young ladies will show you now.
As I said before, this election is about the future. It's about the future of Paulding County. It's about the future of the state of Georgia. It's about the future of our country. And we just need people who understand the same ideas that we have, the views, the foundations that we believe in. And we need somebody there fighting for us every day. Someone who works hard as a small business owner. Someone who works as a member of the Chamber of Commerce to make sure that we create jobs, that we create incentives for small businesses. I mean, that's the backbone of the country, is a small business. And I know that as a small business owner, and I will do everything I can to stop taxes, to cut government regulation, to free the private sector, and you know what? To trust the people. Because the people know what's best. And I say to you today, give me the honor and privilege to serve as your senator. I will serve you well. Thank you.
So you have 1 minute.
Thank you. It is an honor to serve as your senator. For the last 2 years, I've enjoyed every minute of it, worked my tail off, and I hope that the results of that is that you're reelected. Now, what have I been doing for 2 years? How about capping the state income tax? How about capping the sales tax? How about eliminating the death tax? How about working for Hope grants for the technical college system of Georgia? So we've raised the zoning order grants within the technical college system, so institutions like this can attract and retain students that then go into our workforce. That's what I've been doing. And oh, by the way, I've actually been staying in contact with the constituency. Over 20 town halls, over 30 church visits. Anytime there's a gathering of more than 5, it seems like, and somebody invites me, I'm there. So he's right. It is an honor to serve as your senator, and I ask you Monday, let me continue.
Let's give both these gentlemen a round of applause.